Hello everyone, welcome back to our series on writing test cases in Java Spring Boot. In our last video, we got started with JUnit. Today we are going to learn about JUnit annotation and the test life cycle. Understanding these annotation is crucial for effective testing in the future. What are annotation in JUnit? Annotations in JUnit are a special markers that help define the behavior of your test method. They provide information to the JUnit framework on how to execute the test. Let's go over some of the key annotation you will encounter in the future and right now also. So common JUnit annotation. So here are the most commonly used JUnit annotation. @test. So in the last test case we saw and we also used. So this annotation marks a method as test case. JUnit will run any method annotated with @test. BeforeEach. This annotation is used to specify a method that should run before each test case. It is useful for setting up common test data or initializing the resource @AfterEach. Opposite to BeforeEach, this annotation marks a method to be run after each test case. You can use it to clean up resource or reset some kind of state data @BeforeAll. This annotation marks a method to be run once before all test method in the current class. It is typically used for expensive setup operation. Last but not least, @AfterAll. This annotation is the opposite of BeforeAll, running a method once after all tests in the class have been executed, useful for releasing resources. So let's discuss about JUnit test lifecycle. So whatever the annotation I told, now we are going to put in the order. So first of all, we have to understand understanding the JUnit lifecycle help you to manage your test cases effectively. So here how it's work with annotation we just discussed. So at the first we'll have BeforeAll test. So we can use BeforeAll test. This run once before any test method are executed. Ideal for heavy initialization. Next one, BeforeEach test. Before each test method runs, use it for setup that is specific to individual test. Please do not worry, we are going to see the live example so you can understand how the life cycle is working and what is the sequence. Next one, we have test execution that will start with @test. So this is where the actual test logic reside. Each method annotated with the @test is executed. After each test complete, this method runs. Once each test case is completed, this method will automatically execute. It is where you can do cleanup. Last one is AfterAll test. Finally, this run once after all the test case have been completed and where you can release some share resource. So let's discuss in detail. First of all, we'll start with @BeforeAll. So just use BeforeAll and you can give the name as public static void init. Init means initialize. I'm just giving as a shortcut. So now you can import this one. So what we'll do, instead of putting this code here, what we can do, just cut it and put on the top and use as private static. Now cut it from here and here you can use calculator service equal to this one. So I just told you BeforeAll will always execute before running any test method, and at that place I'm just going to initialize our class. So here let's put the message like BeforeAll test. So when we'll run, they'll understand the sequence. So I can say here calculator service initialize. Next one, what we can do, let's keep the annotation as BeforeEach. So you can give any sequence like here or after this one. It will not impact anything. So if you want, let's try to do here @BeforeEach. So just use here public void setup and just give the message here BeforeEach test. And here if you want, you can set your environment. So I'm just going to give the message like setting up environment. So let's try to run this class. So you can see we are getting the first message like BeforeAll test. So this is the line, right? And after that we are getting this one like this here. So what we can do, let's add the message here also inside the test add. And here you can put like test. So let's run. So you can see that sequence, it is just happening as for the life cycle. First of all, BeforeAll is running. So you can see this message. After that, we are able to see this one. And at the last, we are getting the message like inside the test add. So what I will do, just copy this one and let's write another test for subtract. So we already have that function. So 14 minus 10, what we'll get? We'll get the answer as 4. So the subtraction of 14 and 10 should be 4. And let's change like subtract. So this is one line I have added. Let's run. And you can see it is a green color when we run the first time. So let's run this time. So this time we are able to see 2 test cases has been executed perfectly. So you can see we are getting the message there like before all test. So we got this line answer. Next we are getting the message like before each test. You can see here. And after that, this test case has been executed. So you can see we are getting inside the test add. And if you notice again, we are getting this message here. So I told right, before each test, this method run. So that's why it is running 2 times. And suppose in case you have 10 at the test, then it will execute 10 times. So let's move to another lifecycle annotation. So what we can do, just copy this one. And let's change like after each. So if you want here, you can put the code like which one is going to clean the environment. So let's change the function name as tear down. Right? Any function name, whatever you want. Now you can just import it. So let's run. So you can see, first of all, we got from initialize method, that means before all. After that, we got message from before each. Next one, inside the add. After that, after each test. So you can see it is just behaving like before each. So in the before each, it will execute before running the test case. But in after each, it will run once the test case has been finished. So you can see here the add test case has been finished. So we are getting message like after each test case environment. Similarly, once the test subtract has been done, then we are running the after each thing. Before each, it will run before the test, and after each it will run once the test has been done. So if you have multiple test annotation, then it will run multiple times. And at the last we have after all. So let's copy this one and change the message like here after all. So I can say like end. Just import this one, cleanup done. So let's run. So when we run, you can see right here we are getting error. So you can see must be a static. So let's add here a static. So you can see the advantage of JUnit, right? So let's run. So you can see we are getting as for the life cycle, and at the last we are getting after all test cleanup done. So this is the life cycle, and whenever you write any test cases in the future, try to follow the life cycle and use as for your requirement. So you can see the console output, and now you will understand how JUnit handle the life cycle with our setup and how it is tearing down the method. So today we explored the important annotation in JUnit and how they fit into the testing life cycle. Understanding this will help you to write cleaner and more effective test cases in the future. So in the next video, we will talk about parameterized test